What's going on, everybody? Today I need to talk about how you can spend your time wisely. And it comes down to setting specific goals and high goals. You got to set some high goals so you can break them down into smaller goals that you can do every day. And then the way you do that is to set aside specific times to do each little specific thing that leads up to the big goal. So for example, this was probably about a year ago. Actually, backtrack. So before that, maybe about 2 years ago, when I had class, right? So I had two things I had to do. I had to go to class and I had to take my kids to school and drop them off. Sorry, I had to take the kids to school and I had to bring them back home. So I had to pick them up and drop them off. And so there were two things that there were two main objectives for my day. I know, but just hear me out. So this was 2 years ago. And I had two main objectives for my day. These were the only two objectives. I had to go to school. I had my classes on my own, and I had to drop off the kids, and I had to pick them up. So I consider that the same thing. So those are the two main objectives: school pickup, drop-offs, and then my own school. And so here's what I would do. First, because I'm going to tell you guys a little bit of a story. I'm going to take you back in my life into a bad place, bro. I was in a bad space, and I didn't really have anything to do besides take my siblings to school and pick them up. That was all I had to do. So here's what I would do. I would get up at 7 a.m. to drop them off because I had to be to school at like 8 something. So I had to get up and, well, the plan was to get up at 7 o'clock, but I really didn't get up until probably about 7:30. And then I'd quickly throw on some random ass clothes and then just hop in the car and just take them to school. And then I come back and just basically get back into bed and just do nothing all day until it was about 3 o'clock. Then I had to get back up and then go and pick them up and bring them back home. So I did basically nothing else besides that because that's all I had to do. And I had no other ambitions. I had no other goals. So I was just like, we're just lay in the bed, just watch YouTube all day, binge scroll, and play video games all day, and just dumb shit, like loser shit, right? And so that's what I would do. Then fast forward to when I had classes of my own. All right. And so this was getting closer and closer to the point that I started doing more self-improvement stuff. And I had more goals and more ambitions. And so I would get up and I'll do the same thing. I'll take them to school. But this time I had to go to class on my own. And so this changes the whole game because I had to go to class right after I took them to school. And so what does that mean? It means I have to get up earlier and I have to actually get ready because at first I wasn't getting ready because I would just throw on something random because I'm just sitting in the car. I'm not getting out and then I'll just come back home. But now I have to actually go to school. And so now I have to get ready before I take the kids to school. So by the time that I finish with that, I can just head straight to class for myself. And so that's cool. And so I ended up doing that for a little bit. And then there was a point in there where I started to kick up my ambition. I wanted more. I felt like I could do more. This was around the time where I had started really taking the gym seriously. And there was a point, so I went to a community college. And so I had taken a semester off. Let me think. In summer 2024 or something, summer or fall 2024, I had taken the summer off. And so it was either summer or fall 2024. And so it was either summer or fall 2024. I can't remember. I had taken a semester off from school. And so that's when I was really on my shit. I was really on my gym. I was really going to the gym every single day. I was really motivated. I was really consistent with it, right? And so once that semester off came to an end and I had to go back to school for the next semester, it presented a bit of a challenge because in that time off, I was going to the gym at like 8 something in the morning, right? Which is still relatively early, but it's not nothing crazy. Since I had school now, I had to go to school around that time. I remember I had a class at 9 o'clock and so I didn't have time to take the kids to school and then go and do a whole gym session and then take a shower and then get ready and then go to class at 9 o'clock. That's just no. And so I was like, oh shit, how am I going to keep up my gym? So at first I was just going to the gym at night, which was a nightmare because a lot of times it just didn't happen. And so I was like, man, I'm going to have to go in the morning. So it took some self-awareness of what I was trying to get done. And I had to come up with the solution. And then I had to be willing to change it. I had to be like, man, it's looking like the way things are shaping up, it's like, I'm going to have to go in the morning. I'm going to have to go before I take the kids to school. And it was already like 7 o'clock when I had to do that. So I'm like, damn, I'm going to have to get up at like 6 o'clock and go to the gym. And so if I want to keep it consistent, if I really want to get big, that's what I'm going to have to do. Or I could just quit, which that wasn't an option for me. So I start getting up at 6 something, whatever. And that was cool. I was making progress, whatever. And I was getting my meals in. But then I had to start adding more classes for whatever reason. I had to fulfill my little credentials or whatever. I had to fulfill, when in college you have to fulfill certain requirements and stuff. So I had to take more classes, and then that required me to start doing more homework and stuff. And so that took up a lot of time. So between classes and then the homework and then picking up the kids, now my day is basically full. And so I really don't have time to go to the gym unless it's really early in the morning, nor do I have time to eat consistently unless I plan it out specifically exactly when I'm going to do it and then follow through it daily. And on top of that, I was getting more into the self-improvement space. I was getting more into the self-improvement space, and I started learning about journaling. I started learning about meditating, and I wanted to try it out. And I tried it out a couple times or whatever, and it was super inconsistent. At first, I started doing it after I would get home from class and all that, which would be like 5 o'clock. And then I was completely tired. I was completely dead. So I couldn't do any meditating or anything. In fact, I tried to meditate after I came back from class, and I would fall asleep consistently. Every time I tried to meditate, I'd sit there with my eyes closed, I would end up falling asleep. And then definitely I didn't have any time to journal or anything like that. Because you have to have a free mind to journal. When you've done all this shit, it's just too much. I couldn't sit down and meditate after all that. And I considered meditating and journaling as the same thing at that point because I didn't know the difference. And so fast forward a little bit more, I had transferred the meditating and the journaling and stuff into before I even go to the gym in the morning. And so that changed everything, because here's another little thing. I was doing YouTube as well. So I was adding all this shit on my life at the same time. And so I was doing YouTube, and my first plan was to edit at 5 a.m., right? Because my plan was, okay, I'm going to edit at 5 a.m. for a little bit, and then I'm going to go to the gym at about 6, and then I'll come back at about 7. The problem with that was that as soon as I wake up, I can't edit, because editing takes too much mental bandwidth. You would be surprised. I thought that I could edit in the morning because I didn't think it took as much mental bandwidth as making a whole video and being present and being sharp to make the video. But you have to be sharp to edit too, because editing is storytelling. You have to formulate the story in the right way. And especially back then, because I wasn't that good at speaking and I wasn't good at making the points in the videos themselves. So I had to use really strategic editing to make the videos come across as coherent, because I wasn't speaking coherently. I was just spewing out random shit. And so it takes a lot of mental bandwidth, especially more than you have first thing in the morning. And so I had to change that. I can't edit first thing in the morning. First thing at 5 o'clock, no, I can't do that. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna have to change that to another time. And eventually what happened was, so instead of editing in the morning, I said I'm gonna do that later, after I get home or whatever. And so my priority was actually to meditate and to journal before I went to the gym. And so that means I had to get up at about 4:40-ish and then 5 o'clock, because that stuff took about an hour. Mind you, this was when I was first starting to meditate and stuff. And so I didn't get up and immediately start meditating, or I didn't get up and immediately start journaling. I had to wake up first. I would get up and then I would sit at the desk trying to meditate or trying to journal, and I literally couldn't. My mind was still so foggy. I was falling back asleep and shit, and so I was fighting myself trying to fall back asleep, so I couldn't really accomplish much. So half of that time, half of the 30 to 45 minutes that I had set aside to journal and meditate was me just fighting myself, just trying to stay awake. And so then I wouldn't even get a whole bunch of journaling done or anything. Sometimes I would have to skip the meditation because I didn't have enough time. And so I was like, all right, whatever. And then I would go to the gym, and I was going to the gym at about 6 o'clock or whatever. And I couldn't do that because it would ruin my gym time. I only had probably 30 to 40 minutes in the gym, which is doable. But again, I wasn't as efficient in the gym as I am now. And so I couldn't really fit my entire workout schedule in a 30-minute time frame because I was trying to get big. I was trying to use use hypertrophy, and I was trying to get really big and strong. And so it wasn't enough time in between sets and a whole bunch of shit, right? So I was like, all right, I need more time in the gym. And on top of that, I need to be able to take showers after the gym before I take the kids to school because I have to go to class myself. You know what I'm saying? So there was a lot of things at play here. And so what I had to do was I had to shift my gym routine even earlier. And so I can't even remember. I was going to the gym at about 5:30 to 6. I would usually get there at about 5:49 or something. That was like my average time. I would get there at like 5:49, 5:55, stuff like that, right? And then, I would get there at 5:45. Yes, I would get there at 5:45. I would stretch for like 5 to 10 minutes, and then I would do the workout routine, whatever, right? And then I would come back at about 7 so I can get ready, take a shower, and then get ready for my class. And so I take the kids to school, and then I come back and go to class at about 9 o'clock because it was a 30-minute drive from my house to the school. And so the point is that I had to figure out all that. I had to schedule all that so specifically because these are the things I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to journal, I knew I wanted to meditate, and I knew I wanted to go to the gym. And I couldn't do that at any other time in the day because if I waited until all the other shit that I needed to do was done and my homework and going to class and all this shit, I'll be dead tired. You don't have enough energy after all that to then go to the gym and push yourself in the gym consistently and to journal and meditate and all that. Like, fuck that. No, there's no way. Because you could go to the gym at a later point in the day, but you're not going to be going that hard. You're not going to push yourself as much. And that was important to me. I wasn't just trying to check the box. I was trying to actually get big. And so I had to use the early morning so I could have my fresh energy and so I could immediately go as hard as I wanted to so I can go as hard as I wanted to. So anyway, all that to say that I set aside those specific things. I put them to the morning because I didn't have any time to do it otherwise. And so that's what helped me use my time wisely, because once I'm up at 5 o'clock or whatever, I know exactly what I'm supposed to be doing because I know what I have to do after that. When it's 5 o'clock and I'm writing and journaling and stuff, I know that even if I don't journal, even if I don't finish, I need to put it down and I need to go to the gym at 5:30 or else I'm not going to have enough time to finish and I'm not going to have enough time to stretch and stuff like that. I'm not going to have enough time to shower afterwards. A whole bunch of consequences will arise from that one decision. To leave my house at later than 5:40 was detrimental to the rest of my day. Literally, it was completely ruining the rest of my day. And so that was very important that I did that specifically at that time. And so, oh my gosh, I'm sweating, bro. Man, so it was detrimental to my time. And so that was the only way that I was able to emerge out of this. And so that was the only way that I was able to emerge out of this. And so that was the only way that I was able to emerge out that situation victorious and actually following my goals. I got way bigger during that time, even though I had school and all this whole bunch of shit. I was still getting bigger. I was still keeping up with my diet and stuff because I had set specific times out for that as well. And so I was on it, right? And the only way I was able to do that is because I set aside time specifically to do each little thing. Because another little part of this is that I knew I wanted to get up earlier. This was before I had figured it out, but I wanted to get up earlier, right? At 5 o'clock or whatever, because I had heard of the 5 a.m. routine or whatever. And I just didn't know what to do with that time. And so I would get up at 5 o'clock and I'm like, what do I do now? So I just started journaling and meditating because I had heard of it before. And so I just tried it and I realized that it was very beneficial to me. So I wanted to keep it in my routine. And so if I wanted to keep it in my routine, I'm going to have to set aside the time for it. So I'm going to have to put it before all the other shit. And so, bro, at that point, when I woke up at 5 o'clock, I knew exactly what I was supposed to do. I have to journal, and then I have to leave at 5:30, and then I have to go to the gym, and then I have to come back at 7:15 or whatever. And so I knew exactly what I was supposed to be doing at each time frame. And that's huge. Because if you don't know what you're supposed to be doing, you're just going to end up doing whatever the fuck. I would just be playing video games or some shit. That's what I used to do. Whenever I would wake up early, before I had to go to school, or before I had to do whatever, I would just play video games. I would just go back to sleep or whatever, right? And since I knew what I had to do specifically at that time, and I knew I had to do it at that time, because if I didn't do it at the time, it wouldn't get done, and I knew I needed to get it done. So I was like, I know exactly what I have to do. And because of that, that's what helped me do it in that time frame. Because here's another small point. It's that point. It's very easy to just not do it. I could sit here and say all this shit, but when it's 5 o'clock, it's hard to actually do the thing. Even though I'm saying I did it, it was a challenge. Like I said, I was fighting sleep and all this shit. And so, but at least I knew what I was trying to do. And so even just a little bit of progress, even just me writing down one sentence of journaling at that time in the morning is better than me playing video games at that time in the morning. You know what I'm saying? So even if you don't do it perfectly, which you're not going to, especially when you first start the new routines, it's just about knowing what you're doing. It's just about knowing what you're supposed to be doing and then trying your best to accommodate that. And so it's going to take some trial and error. I'm not going to say that creating routines is easy. But what I will say is that you have to give yourself some latitude. You have to give yourself the time and the space to actually figure out what works best for you. Because my routine might not work for you. Ashton Hall's routine might not work for you. You know what I'm saying? You have to come up with your own stuff. And you have to come up with your own goals that you can align your routine with. That's the main point. Because it's like, if you can follow my routine or whatever, but it's not going to mean as much to you because it's not your specific goals. Right? If you have specific goals that you want to do, and then you can figure out how you can fill them in, then you can figure out how you want to accomplish them within your routine. And then once something doesn't work, you can change that around, and then you can clearly come up with the perfect routine. Eventually, you'll have the perfect routine, right, for you. And so once you can stick with that, and then you knock that out every day, I would recommend using a habit tracker. That was something that I used a lot. And bro, if you can knock that out every day, if you even get 50% on your habit tracker every day, that is fucking amazing. Because think about it, before that, you would have got 0 on the habit tracker, right? Because you're not doing shit. You don't know what you're doing. So even just having a habit tracker, knowing that you're supposed to do something that day, knowing that you're supposed to do these 10 things per day, you're going to get some of them done just because the fact that you know that you have to do it. If you're not aware of it, if you don't know that you have to do certain things, if you're just letting life pass you by, not really having any intentionality or whatever, then it's not going to get done. So just simply having something to do, simply setting the goals will completely change your life. Literally, getting 50% on your habit tracker a day will change your life. I promise you, 100% it will change your life. So, bro, I know I'm sweating. It's hot in here, but this is how you use your time wisely. And I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to comment down below which one to see next, and I'll see you later. Peace.